Alright guys, so back in the garage again. Starting on this behind me. Got to fix some suspension issues. Check it out. Got it in earlier today. I just went to lunch and been chilling a little bit. But yeah, we're about to lift it up and check out what's going on in the back. So far the front's already went down. The back's is still up. So definitely got a leak in the front. But I'm just gonna go over everything real slow and take my time. Here we go up. Back heavy. Let's check it out. I moved the lift a little bit forward. And alright, I'm a little back. Air compressors aren't on the ignition switch. That's great. I think I'm gonna move the car a little forward. Alright, so get a better view. See the bracket up there that they bolted on because the welds broke off of that bracket. Shocks, you can see the shocks are kind of leaning pretty good. The whole sway bar, or the whole trailing arm's leaning pretty good. So yeah, all this is gonna come off. They use some pretty cool ham joints up there. I won't bag them on that, but those mounts are a little small, a little shady compared to these big thick ones that they have down on the bottom. More thick ones back here. Look what they had to do right there to get that to go by it. That's funky. Maybe that's why I used the little ones over here, so they didn't have nothing hitting it over like they did over here. Oh, funky. Alright, I guess I'm gonna start pulling wheels off and pulling it apart. See how it goes. So just got tires off. Now I got a better view in here. So now you can see where the bag's angled, which is fine. And these are really shittily welded on there. Look like there's some good shocks. Alright, man, I really wish my lift would go one more click up. It'd be just that little bit higher to get under here, but it's cool. I don't know what to do about this. Just cut this stuff off. I was kind of hoping to reuse it, but I don't know if it's reusable even. But I mean, geez, I just don't know how to get this bolt out without taking all this off, and I don't want to take it all off. It's just something that shouldn't need to be done. We'll unbolt the front ones. We'll unbolt all that. Shocks and airbags can be unbolted. I forgot to let the air out, so I'll have to climb up there in the car and let the air out of the bag. But mainly that, how would you get that out? I mean, they had to just put that on and welded it on with it on there. I wouldn't see them taking this off just to put this bolt in there. But yeah, we're gonna get in here and get it ripped apart. Oh, nice. We weren't recording. Alright, battery died, so got all this grinding done in here. Oh, let's see, as you can see, it's all nice. It's pretty smooth. Pretty smooth. This little spot, let's see if we get up close. Got cut from a plasma cutter. I didn't do that. Previous guys did that. Cut till about back here somewhere. So we'll have to weld that up, regrind it, weld the little corner up, regrind it. And then, yeah, just smooth that out. Smooth that out maybe a little bit more, but it looks good. And that's what we'll have to do over on this side, so you can see more or less what was on there. This little bracket here, bracket here. And yeah, that'll probably come all right off. Then we'll have a hole right here that we'll have to weld up. And then this is where the bag bracket's gonna go. It's gonna bolt onto here, and then it'll come over this way, and the bag brackets will come off of that. So got a couple holes in the frame down here that we had to weld up from previous people's work. I don't know, but we'll do that next too. And this side looks pretty good, but yeah, I'm gonna spare you the hours of grinding. And yeah, for the next side, I just wanted to get a little time lapse of grinding. So yeah, a lot of grinding. Clean all that up. Clean all that up. Got the rear end out pretty clean. It got a couple leaks somewhere on it on the bottom, so I'm letting it sit for a minute. All right, good morning. Back out here today. Got to get out here and clean up a mess. Grinding messes. Lots of grinding messes. Get out here, clean them up, and clean up what the dogs got going on over there. And yeah, get cleaning up, and then we're gonna start welding all these parts together. And start off with welding these standoffs off the frame, and then the bushings will go to those for the 2-link bars. So start off with getting those welded up, so then I can mount these. I'm gonna have to drill the holes and then run and get some bolts before it gets too late in the day. It's Friday, so I don't want to be driving around too late. But once we get those mounted, then we can start working on 2-link bars, getting them mounted to the bushings. And then once those are mounted, we can work on installing these and what the correct angle all needs to be of the pinion angle. And compared to these, I don't know, these are kind of 90 degrees right in here, but need the pinion angle to be correct with that, and then this to be correct with the angle of my ride height. So that's going to take some doing. before we might take a couple tacks on get those correct. We're gonna go what is it, 5 from the edge of this up to the center. So once we get these mounted on here, these mounted up there, we'll know the distances between these two. So then we know what the distance is between these two. We'll have to go on the axle. So that's today. But first, let's get cleaning up. Oh, it's Good Friday. Get some work done, trying to get inspired to get this camera going more and recording more stuff, like doing the plasma stuff. I had to cut another piece. I didn't like, well, I cut these ones, but I had to cut another axle bracket out. I didn't like, this one was a little off. Getting off track here, but yeah, let's get to cleaning. Start these measurements. Tack welding. There's some caps for the ends of these. For right now, we'll get them mounted to here. They're a little off square, but it'll work. Alright, ran to Home Depot, got my bolts and washers and stuff. These are going to be simple. Through the frame and through this piece to hold this on. Like I said, I'll weld a little 1-inch weld, 1-inch weld, 1-inch weld. So hold them on good, but I want those mainly through the bolts so they don't rip through the frame, rip off the frame on the one side. But got some light on in here, did my marks, did the old school string with a washer tied to it, bob style, whatever you call it, and got my measurement off of there. So this first line is 30. That's going to be from center bolt hole to center bolt hole, so 30 inches from center to center. And then that next mark is where my mount lines up with, so I'll line this mount up right now, and I'll get in here and I'll mark my holes. Luckily I have another one for template I think will work. But I'll put it on here, mark my holes, drill them. Same thing on the other side. And as you can tell, I gotta weld all this up in here where previous people cut it or something happened over here. And then just a little bit of fixing up here too, but yeah, we'll get that done in the next few minutes before I move on to probably even drilling those holes. Just get that all welded up and grinded. All right, well, just wanted to see what was going on. Got back with the bolts and got myself a bit as well. So we'll get on it. I'll let you see once I got those mounted and I start working on the link bars, putting the bushings on them. I'll get those notched and then show you a little video of them before I either weld them on or after they're welded on and tacked on there. But yeah, moving on. Alright, get back under here, check it out. that one bolted on, got the other side bolted on. So we got a little bit of a gap. I'm gonna have to grind the bottom of it a little bit. It ended up being like 1/8 of an inch lower, which just ended up catching that little bit of curve. So I'll have to grind it a little bit to make it flush up. Same thing with the other side. It looks good. It was right on. It still has a little bit of a gap, but nothing too bad. I ended up just grinding that little bit again too, just to bring it in tighter a little bit, because they're just a little cockeyed up. Straight across wise, they're fucking perfect. They're right on straight across wise, but just leaning a little bit up. I believe it's just because of that little curve right there. So I'm gonna grind it and should bring them down on both sides. So I got my measurement in between now. So I forgot what it was, but I know it's like 35.5 from inside of these tabs. So I can go from there and measure off on the axle now and mark the axle for the axle tabs. Once I get the axle welded up, I still gotta weld up these leaks. I found the leak on this one, I found the leak on this one. It's in between this area, and then gotta weld that spot too, but definitely leaking right in this area, and definitely leaking out of this little crack right here. So we're gonna get those welded up, and I'm not gonna weld any of that up yet. I'm gonna start on the link bars, which are right here, and we're gonna put the bushings. So I'll have to grind into them. I got pretty thick ones this time. I forgot what gauge that is. They're pretty thick, so we'll have to grind them to fit these guys. Don't look like it's actually very much, maybe 1/4 inch or less, because I'm gonna leave a little gap for weld anyways. So just cut a little bit into those, notch them in, we'll weld those up or tack them up for now. Nice, level, even. And then let's see, yeah, then we'll get those on there. I could put them on just to kind of see the angle they'll be at ride height. So I want to put them on, or at least put one of them on, so I can throw this thing up there. And when the axle's at ride height, which is the center of that, I kind of want to see what this is angle is going to be at. So ride height, I'm not too sure ride height's going to be. It's like probably around there somewhere. It's probably level. Probably end up being damn near level with that bushing. So if it is, that's awesome. And that ride height will be perfect right in there somewhere. If not, it'll be a little bit down and angled very slightly. But once we figure out that angle, then we can weld these onto the axle. So just got to do that to figure out that little bit of that angle. I guess I could probably just like use something else, but I'd rather get them welded onto the bushings, and if anything I'll cut them down and just a random length to get in here, just a random length to get up in here, and just to shorten them because they're 5 feet right now, and they're going to be about 34 inches or so, somewhere in there. But yeah, so next, moving on to the link bars. Weld them on, or get them tacked up, and then we can put them in. And like I said, once it's those axle pieces are welded on there or tacked on there, then rear end can go in, everything can be checked, and then once it's all checked, everything can come out, weld it up, and then I can work on a pan hard bar or some kind of something. Oh yeah, I have to work on that, and then the C-notches next too. But I want to get this on, centered, make sure it's going to be where I think it's going to be, because center is right here, and then when it comes in it should be centered about right about here somewhere, in here, somewhere in here. It's either that line or that line. Not too sure yet, but yeah. Oh, and then we got to work on the bag brackets after that, which will be up under here off the frame, coming out and onto the link bar. It's pretty simple. It just takes a while to get it figured out, but can't wait. Like I said, moving on these link bars. Got both of these notched. That one down there is done. Where did my piece go now? I dropped it and I picked it up. It happens. But got them notched. So now to get them centered on there and tacked in and move on from there. Alright, so I'm gonna weld these on. Well, it's not a bung, but it's sleeve, I guess, bushing sleeve. But same thing, bung, sleeve. It's welded here. Okay, see a lot of things like this. There is a seam in here, a welded seam. I don't know if you can see it. It's darker. That's where it's welded together. It's darker throughout the whole thing. That's the seam where the piece of metal gets wrapped around and welded together. So that piece needs to go in the center of there, so that when you weld around, it is locked in the weld. If you were to put it out here, you have the liability of it splitting. You see what I'm saying? If the bushing, something forbid happen, this split open, it has that possibility of splitting open. I see a lot of them like that, people do them. Even when you're doing a bolt, if you're welding a bolt to it and making an adjustable one, you weld the bolt to that center, close to that center as possible. You want to lock that in with the weld. So that's going to go there. I had a little bit more grinding. It was kind of leaning, but now it's looking pretty good. Measurements on it again real quick, and then we'll tack it in place. Looks good right there. Tacking it. No helmet. Go. Bushing sleeve tacked on. Squeezing gnarly. Cutting arms are pretty thick. Probably didn't have to go that thick, but good. Cut down to about 34 inches in a little bit. Let's just check it out. See. So from center bolt to center bolt, 30 inches. And then I'm just going to go 2 inches past that and cut it. It'll give me like a 1/4 inch. Well, actually, I need a little longer. Correct. Because so that's my bolt hole center right there. And we're going to want it to be adjustable to about there. So there's 2 inches. So let's go 2.5. So that's what we'll cut it. 30 inches center, we'll cut it there. I'll get us room to adjust it there. So that's our bolt. We got that much adjust to there. We got a little extra because I want to leave a little extra in case I put bolt inside of there to weld in to bolt on shocks. So in case the shocks end up fitting behind here, or just universally for the future, that'll be my length, so that a shock could possibly go on the back of here if need be. Same thing I did with these. That's why I did these a little longer, so an airbag can possibly go on here and weld to these instead of the bars, if possible. So you would put a bag bracket on top of here and weld it in, so your bag would be right here on top of these. These bars, their bag's probably going to be a little bit more over here. Not too sure just yet, but we'll figure that out in a bit. So that's our center 30. From there to there, centered. That'll be our center bolt hole. And if both of them, everything lines up right, then we'll drill that, and then that'll be our set bolt. So you got 2 adjusting bolts. So adjust it to get it square. Once it's square, you can tighten it and put this set screw, drill this and set this set screw in it, and it wouldn't move no more. So that's the plan. Let's cut this guy. And get it done. Alright, gonna get on repairing this axle now. They say I got some cracks to repair, some divots. Gonna weld them all up, grind them, weld them, grind them again, and then we'll start mounting the axle brackets. Once we get those all welded up, we'll figure out our measurements here. This needs a little more fitting, but we'll figure out our measurements, and we'll get these on here and squared up and welded on to the right angle, or tacked on, I guess, for now. The right angle of the pinion, with the right angle of these, and yeah. Alright, got those all cleaned up. Hopefully they don't leak no more. Let them sit for a bit like this. And see how it looks. It's pretty good. Still has those dips that I didn't do, but I don't feel like trying to fix all that right now. Yeah, looks good. Kind of see where it's a little bent, but I'm not gonna worry about it. So, yeah.